Yo, it's Wednesday, April 26th. My name is Rich, and this is your 5-minute fix. Wizards of the Coast is at it again. Magic Raid wasn't the first time Wizards of the Coast hired the Pinkertons. This is an updated little source here. A source that says Pinkerton agents have been used to track down leaks and stolen Magic the Gathering cards multiple times before. So, if you haven't heard, most recently, Wizards of the Coast sent the Pinkertons out to a man's house who allegedly had purchased a set of cards that were not supposed to be released yet. I'm sure this story will have the details and all that good stuff, but if you don't know who the Pinkertons are, let's take a quick read off of Wikipedia here. Pinkerton is a private security and detective agency established around 1850 in the United States by a Scottish-born American, Cooper Allen Pinkerton, and Chicago attorney Edward Rucker as the Northwestern Police Agency, which later became Pinkerton & Co., and finally the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. It is currently a subsidiary of Swedish-based Securitas AB. Pinkerton became famous when he claimed to have foiled the Baltimore plot to assassinate President-elect Abraham Lincoln in 1861. Lincoln later hired Pinkerton agents to conduct espionage against the Confederacy and act as a personal security during the American Civil War. So, essentially, security company, detectives, whatever you want to call it. I'll drop this Wikipedia link down in the comments below if you want to read more about the Pinkertons. But anyways, this is how crazy Wizards of the Coast are. They sent these private detectives out to this guy's house because he made a YouTube video about having unreleased Magic the Gathering cards. Let's read. According to Dan Cannon, a YouTuber known as Old School MTG, Magic the Gathering publisher, Wizards of the Coast sent Pinkerton agents to his home in order to retrieve a selection of unreleased cards from the latest Magic the Gathering set. While the Magic expansion March the Machine, the Aftermath, was supposed to be revealed at the beginning of May, Cannon somehow required a selection of boosters and showed them in his YouTube channel, resulting in the reveal of around 75% of the limited release set. Woo! Within a week, Cannon says Pinkerton agents knocked on Cannon's door and demanded he turn over all the cards for the unreleased set. He had released videos on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The agents arrived on Saturday morning, he says. According to Wizards of the Coast, the company sent an investigator as part of an investigation into unauthorized distribution and disclosure of embargoed product, and only after several phone calls went unanswered, the investigator, the company says, visited him and asked that he reach out to us as part of our investigation and return the embargoed product and packaging. He agreed to do both. We are replacing all the unreleased product with the product that he intended to purchase. Now, I mean, embargoed product or not, this man purchased it. Can I say, he made the right choice? Probably. They probably wouldn't have stopped harassing him, all that kind of stuff. And maybe it probably would have went to some legal measures. Who knows? But what we do know is that Wizards of the Coast, they are ruthless and they don't give a rip when it comes to protecting their intellectual property. In an email exchange with IO9, Cannon confirmed the statements he made on the video and added additional context, stating that as soon as my wife answered the door, they aggressively asked for me by full name, announced themselves as the Pinkerton Agency, which I am very familiar with their reputation, and said they were there to recover stolen goods. After his wife asked them to wait outside, Cannon says that they forced themselves at least partially through the door and prevented her from closing the door all the way. When Cannon eventually got to the door, he says he assertively moved everyone outside and told the agents that they needed to treat the Cannons with more respect. They did eventually dial it back and became more civil after that, he says. At some point, Cannon alleges the treatment by the agents made his wife cry. Ooh-wee. You hate to see it. Wizards of the Coast says it strongly refutes the depictions of the events. They weren't there. Well, how are they going to refute it? They weren't there. Which contradicts both the report from the investigation as well as the conversation between the individual and the Wizards of the Coast representative after the interaction in question. The company also stated that under no circumstances would we instruct any employee or contracted agency to intimidate an individual. Well, I mean, come on. How do they know? They don't know. It's simple. They don't know. According to Cannon, the agents continue to claim that he was in possession of stolen property and said that if Cannon didn't hand over the product immediately, they would escalate the situation to the local law enforcement. They claimed copyright infringement and said I would face between 1 and 10 years in jail, Cannon said. They also alleged threatening that this incident could result in up to $200,000 in fines, plus all the legal fees. This, Cannon says, was his first interaction with the Pinkerton agents and that they told him they tried to confront him at his house on Friday, but nobody's home. Cannon said in a video uploaded April 25th that the Pinkerton agents, after attempting to go to Cannon's house, began door knocking at homes of his neighbors, asking for information about him and saying that they had an appointment with Cannon. Wow, wild shit. According to Cannon, the Pinkerton agent said that they didn't want to call me before showing up because they didn't want me to have time to react and get rid of the cards. Additionally, Cannon says he had no interaction with Wizards of the Coast before the incident on Saturday morning. Cannon was given a number to call, and he did so while the Pinkertons were in his home. When he reached the Wizards of the Coast employee, they said they had attempted to call him on Friday, but because it was via an unlisted number, Cannon did not pick up. Reasonable. Who the hell picks up unlisted numbers? Especially with all the scams going on these days, who's gonna pick up an unlisted number? Silly. Cannon says the Wizards of the Coast employee did not leave a voicemail or send an email, but when they finally talked on the phone, they asked which Magic the Gathering cards he would like. According to the Wizards of the Coast, the company initiated several phone calls to the individual in order to make contact, though we understand why he would be reluctant to answer an unknown number. When we were unable to make contact by phone, local contractors were asked to try and make contact and request help in the investigation, including the return of the product, which can aid in our investigation. The company also confirmed that it offered to replace all of the unreleased product with correct released cards. So I'll leave a link to this article down in the description as well. I'm not going to read all this, but yo, this is wild. What do you think about this? Wizards of the Coast, after all of the drama and just negative reaction to some of their decisions over the past year and some, do you think it's appropriate for them to use this type of method to retrieve a batch of unreleased cards? Do you think they went overboard, or do you think it was just right? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's all for this one today, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rich. Thank you for watching, and this has been your 5-minute fix.